Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Velvet, the metaphysician, and you are here listening to Table Talk. This is a specific podcast created for wellness practitioners that are ready, right, ready to build that wealth beyond the table. Now, let's go ahead and jump in because, and my internet is settling down. So if you see flashes, don't worry about it. But I wrote a newsletter for this week, Behind the Massage Doors, the hidden cost of holding that space. And I think that many of you understand what I'm referring to here when I say that. And the reason is because everything is just awesome behind the door when we're working with our clients. The setting is right, the stones are on, the sheets feel amazing, the aromatherapy is just carries you away. But then we open that door. And then when we open that door, reality kind of kicks us in the teeth. So the reason that I wrote Behind the Massage Door is that people often imagine that the hardest part of massage therapy happens on the table. I would argue much of it happens outside of the room, behind the warm stones, behind that music I was telling you about, behind the aroma and soft lighting. Because behind the massage door, there is a reality many people never get to see. Our clients specifically don't see this. The laundry, the cancellations, the physical wear, the hidden overhead, the emotional labor of holding space all day long. And sometimes the quiet pressure of realizing your income depends on your hands showing up tomorrow. I know this world. I lived it for over 30 years. And for a long time, I thought that was simply the nature of the profession. And I think that many of us have felt the same way. But over time, I began seeing something much deeper. Many practitioners haven't built unstable businesses because they lack skill. They're very skilled. The therapists that were working with me were very skilled. They've often built beautiful managed systems of survival. Now, this is going to be very different, right? It's going to be different for all of us. And those are two different things. They are very different. Skill is much different than managing the structure for survival. That realization changed how I thought about practice, about structure, and eventually about what needed to change. Today, I want to talk about what exists behind the massage door that few people name and why naming it really matters. You know, when our clients step into our room, they automatically think, "Oh, you've got the best job in the world. You get to live in this environment all the time. Oh, I wish that I could do what you're doing and just completely relax." So think about that. The therapists are seeing all the calm. They're experiencing that calm. But what's happening within us? What's going on? Are we carrying the chaos? Are we silently wondering about the next client that's getting ready to come in? Have we just gotten off the phone where a client has to cancel? Or did we get off the phone where somebody's trying to get in and we don't have the room for them? But there's even something more that we think about when we're working with the client. We do our best, right? We do our very best. I'm not saying that this is something that we do constantly, but I am saying that it's living underneath what's going on. Like the laundry. Have you ever been working on a client and you know that you just opened up your laundry room door and realized, oh my gosh, I didn't get the sheets done today. Or what about your stones? They're sitting in the sink. You're working with a client, they're sitting in the sink. You know that you have a client that's following, that's getting a stone massage. And in our heads, we're thinking, okay, when I finish this client, I've got to hurry up and get the stones washed. I got to get those turned on before the next client. And we do put some small structures in place to prevent that, right? We might have a backup of stones that we've constantly are working with. We may hire somebody to wash the stones for us or do the laundry. But very few of us are able to really hire somebody to take care of the overhead for us because it's very personal to us. And then let's not even begin to talk about the nervous system labor. So while the client is calm and peaceful on the table, sometimes we're on edge. We're thinking about the next thing, the next problem, the next structure we need to put into place. We're not the ones that get to completely let go. And I had an instructor say this to me one time, and I really didn't understand the depth of what she was saying back then. I was young, just in school, knew nothing about massage. And when we went into practicum, she said to us, if you are comfortable during your massage and if you are feeling relaxed and meditating, you are not thinking about the client. You are only thinking about yourself. You've completely disconnected from the client. You see, because when we go into the room, really, it's not about us. It is about the experience for the client that is on the table, not about us. And sometimes it isn't the session that compresses our profit. It's everything surrounding the session. I think some of you are probably really feeling this as well, but you just haven't been able to find a voice to it, or maybe you feel guilty for feeling this way. There's no need to feel guilty about it. It is a reality. And a lot more therapists need to talk about it because that's going to open up to reading the books like Book Solid Still Broke. Hey, there is an issue. This person may have a solution, or Built to Hold. What's holding me right now? And then we really need to be honest with ourselves when it comes to the fragility of our business. And it's not about hiring more therapists to fill that space. Because I can tell you, even within some of the segments that I've been writing about, even in Book Solid, I talk about this, is that you can hire therapists, and yes, you're making additional income that's not from your effort, but now it's still the effort of another individual. Like a therapist can have a sick child, and that whole schedule has to be eliminated. Now, and I've experienced this, and maybe some of you have too, where you've had therapists working for you and you've got your 10 o'clock client, your therapist come in at 10, you come in a little earlier. Your therapist is supposed to be there at 10 o'clock, so typically she would be there 15 minutes, if not 30 minutes early. And they call and say they have a flat tire. Now, these are things that cannot be controlled by you. However, your structure can be controlled by you. It is designed by you. So a full book can still sit in a very fragile moment. It can experience a fragile moment, and it can also be showing you just how fragile your foundation is. Wow. But are we willing to look at it? Because many are not willing to look at it because they take it personal and think I've failed. You haven't failed. What failed us is the education. You're taught how to do massage. You're not taught how to be a massage therapist. And many of you know how to do massage great, but do not know how to be a massage therapist. You don't identify with being as a massage therapist. You identify with all the issues that go on in the doingness of massage. What do you want to identify as? For me, it was about being a leader. It was about being a strong businesswoman that cared about her community. I identified as a successful entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs, they build strong foundations and structures under them to hold them so that they can do their entrepreneurial work, like being in the chamber, doing fundraisers, volunteering at a children's museum. But something shifted for me when I had my last practice, and I was working with a chiropractor at the time, and then we went into separate offices because I needed more space. And then once I moved into more space, I took on another therapist. And this was in 2000. I actually left that space in 2018. So it took 2 years for me to realize this. And in 2000, I felt like I needed to grow even more. And I separated us in rooms. He took over one room and I took over another. And I asked myself in that moment, what am I doing? What have I just done? And then, of course, that was a year that COVID hit the world and it made it stop. We were shut down for months. And then, even after we opened up our clinics, clients were still not coming in like the way they were. Many of them were sick. Many of them were scared. So business did not return back to normal because we still had some restrictions. And clients with those restrictions were put into a place of fear. And then something shifted because we were closed down in 2000. We opened back up. We're struggling. We're trying to get our business back up. And then in 2021, as things started picking back up, and I was thinking, oh boy, this is, whoo, okay, we've got balance again. We're moving and grooving. That was only based on the clients being on the table. That was still only based on us doing work with our hands. And then my husband and I came down with COVID in 2021. We had a client that had come to our home to get some emergency work, and he thought that he had sinus issues, and it turned out he had more than sinus issues. So we got sick at the end of 2021, August to be exact. And to be exact, it was on my son's birthday. And during that time, we literally did not know what we were going to do. We were so sick, we couldn't move, we were so tired. And even after we were done getting sick, we were still sick. We were still not able to have the energy that we so much enjoyed. Our hair changed, our physique changed, the way we looked changed. You could tell. It was like it added 20 years to both my husband and I's life. But then I reached out and I said, hey, I need some help. And somebody reached out to me with a tool, and that tool changed everything. That tool not only changed my life, my husband's life, but it changed the lives of my clients. And that tool I could just put on the table, and my clients would just drift off And when they got back up, they would all say, "Oh my gosh, what did you do different? That was the best massage I ever got." And I didn't do anything different technique wise. It was only a tool. So when we think about it, was that a gift? Well, I had already been telling God there has to be a better way. Right? I knew, at 60 years old, well, actually at that time I was 59. At 59 years old, I didn't want to continue that. And then at 60, that was when we got sick. And I was like, I need to reevaluate. You know, I wanted to be able to do this for as long as I could, but I knew at the pace that I was doing it and without the structure to hold me, it wasn't going to last. So I'd like to end like this. If you're a practitioner listening, maybe this resonates with you. And maybe you've quietly have felt some of what I've described, but never had the ability to articulate it or put language to it the way that I have. And maybe you would put different language to it. My hope is that this gives language to it and maybe even permission to ask the bigger question: what holds the healer? Because creating calm for others is beautiful, but building a life and practice that can hold you too, this matters. So until next time, keep building what lasts, and we're going to continue this conversation. This conversation isn't over. The lessons aren't over. The books are not over. They're going to continue. And it is my hope and prayer that my experience helps to enhance a greater experience for you to where you can build that structure early on in the life of your massage practice. So if you're a new massage therapist, understand this: you don't know it all. And there will be things that you will learn along the way that you wish that you had structure for. And I want to add one more piece to this. Because they did not teach us business in school, there was a book that we could all get, and it was about the business practice. It was a thick book, too. Loved everything that I was reading about it because it focused on what she was doing. She was doing 40 hours a week of massage. She was making $100,000 a year. And I was like, well, at first, at $100,000 a year. Well, as a marketing director, I was making way much more money than that. And I kept thinking, why is she only making 100,000 working 40 hours a week? Well, it wasn't until later I opened that book back up again and I realized what was missing. She was focusing on how much you do. I was focusing on how much you become. Isn't that amazing? That's so much different. So I do hope that this has helped you in some way today, bring up some kind of realization for you today. And please look me up on LinkedIn. It's just Dr. Velvet, the Metaphysician. And if you are on Facebook, we have Massage and Health that you can join us and get greater depth. And then, of course, you can always reach out to me personally and let's have a conversation. Let's just have a conversation to see where you are today, because this tool may not be for you, and that's okay too. But you'll find your way. But the main thing, the biggest thing to take away from this is that definitely look into getting Book Solid, Still Broke, or Built to Hold. Matter of fact, get both. Get both. They go together. All right. Until next time, many blessings to you, and create that wealth beyond the table. Take care.